God for that. Honestly. Honestly. Thank God that game is over. What a game. How that goes to penalties, don't even get me started. Hey guys, good evening. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope everyone's had a fantastic weekend. Hope everyone's looking forward to the end of the weekend. Hope it all had a good Sunday evening. And hope you're looking forward to a brand new week in April 2023 this year. First of all, do a massive favour for me. Hit the like button, hit the share button, the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. That is United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel and the community if you are new, and share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and to always remember to put the notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube for more Fortnite content, Hogwarts Legacy, Kingdom Hearts 4, the new Disney Speed Storm game, FIFA 23 Career Mode, Football Manager, and much more brand new stuff planned for the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. So please subscribe if you're new. Thank you. Good evening to all of you legends. Good evening to all you legendary people, and welcome to the reaction. The FA Cup semi-final reaction between Brighton and Hove Albion and Manchester United. And guess what, Manchester United fans? We are in the final. We are in the final. Da 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 da. Hey, da 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 da. Hey. Manchester United are in the 2023 Emirates FA Cup final. No one expected that to go to penalties. Not even me, not even you. No Manchester United fans expected Manchester United to have to go all the way to penalties this evening in this Emirates FA Cup semi-final too. That was absolutely ridiculous how that had to go all the way to penalties just for Manchester United to find that win against Brighton. I mean, that 120 minutes of football in extra time, in normal time, I mean, it was absolutely crazy how we couldn't find a way past Brighton, couldn't put the ball in the net, and we are lucky we won on penalties. Because I'll tell you what, Man United are getting lucky in the last few games. We are getting by with what we've got. We are getting lucky we are in that final in June against Manchester City. And it's not going to be an easy final. It is going to be one of the hardest finals I think this football club is ever going to face. Manchester City in a final at Wembley in June. That semi-final win hopefully has given those players a massive rocket up their arse. Because I tell you what, you are lucky, lads, we're even in that final, because how we couldn't find a goal within 120 minutes of football was absolutely crazy, absolutely ludicrous. I felt sorry for all the Man United fans. I felt sorry for all the Man United supporters that we wanted a reaction from those players, and in 120 minutes you can't do it. It lacks a lust of ideas. It lacks a lust of goal scoring problems, and it lacks a lust of any quality football being had in that game. And having to go the way to penalties, it just says a lot. It says a lot about the mentality. It says a lot about the commitment, and it says a lot about a desire about that team, that squad, and those players. But you know what? We're in that final, and that's something now to look forward to. But Man United ain't half getting lucky that we are in that final in June, because Brighton, I do feel massively sorry for you. You were massively unlucky to miss your 13th penalty out of everyone's penalty kicks being taken. For Solly March to miss that penalty, I feel so sorry for Brighton, because I'll tell you what, you deserve that place in that final, if I'm being very honest. You deserve to be in that FA Cup final, because I tell you what, some of the quality players Brighton have got in that team under Roberto De Zerbi is absolutely phenomenal. The way he's got Brighton playing, especially in that semi-final, Brighton were all over Man United in that second half. And in extra time, they were all over United again. It's like Man United was like attack against defence. It was like boys against men. It was like Manchester United sat back and let Brighton attack them, and all we could do was hit them on the counter-attack. And it simply didn't work. And if you looked at that Man United team that was outstaying in Ten Hag's team, you look at the players we had available, you look at the players Man United had available to use, and you look at that bench, and you look at that starting 11, I expected goals in that game. I expected Manchester United to give a response from the Sevilla game, and I still haven't seen it. I really haven't. If I'm being very honest, that if you can't score a goal in 120 minutes and you have to wait to go to penalties to finally put the ball in the net and to finally win on the 7th penalty, It says a lot about where this football club is trying to head into the direction of trying to improve the form, the structure, and way this football club is currently at this moment in time. I thought Man United really were not the better team. I thought Brighton deserved to be in that final. And if I was a Brighton fan, I would be massively, massively gutted that you're not in that final, because Brighton have got quality players. I mean, you look at Alexis McAllister, you look at Mitoma, you look at Solly March, you look at Eustapian, you look at the Brighton players Brighton have got available, even Danny Welbeck and Undav. You look at that Brighton team and you look at the players they've actually got. No wonder Brighton have been playing so well in the Premier League this season. No wonder Brighton have actually been performing in the league. It says a lot about Brighton as a whole that the job Roberto De Zerbi is doing at that club is phenomenal. The club and the way he's built it this season and the way they are playing fucking fantastic football. Manchester United can count themselves very lucky, because I completely disagree with Danny Murphy's comments about how well organised Man United were, how solid Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw were, how great and how fantastic Manchester United were in that game. Either Danny Murphy was watching that game with his eyes closed, or he's completely naive about how bad Manchester United actually were. Brighton dominated that game. They were all over Man United and have basically got massively unlucky to lose on penalties thanks to Solly March missing his penalty. Manchester United really, on the bigger face of the picture, they don't really deserve to be in that final. I know we can all celebrate, and it's exciting that we're in another final for trophy, and it could be a second trophy win under Ten Hag this season. But if we're looking at it from the bigger picture, did Man United deserve that win on paper today? The way we played? No, we didn't, because Brighton dominated that game from start to finish. And especially the early chances early on in the first half. Man United really did need to find a goal. Marcel has a clear indication. Sanchez is off his goal line. Empty net to aim at. Marcel puts it over the bar. The chance Bruno Fernandes had for Roberto Sanchez for them to save it, that should be going in the net. And the shot Ericsson then also had through on goal. He should have really put that in either as well. So it says a lot about where the frustration is coming in that team. The goals in midfield have dried up. The goals up front have dried up. And defensively, we look more shaky than a fucking rock. I mean, I watched that defence and they were getting ran over by Mitoma. And I mean, that Mitoma for Brighton, if any big clubs are looking at him in the summer, I would not be surprised. And it's the same with Alexis McAllister. Those two players are lighting up that Brighton team. And I'll tell you what, I would take both Mitoma and Alexis McAllister at Manchester United next season, because the quality footballers that they are, that were dominating Man United's defence, Man United couldn't cope. Man United was struggling to keep Brighton out. And it was only a matter of time, in my opinion, that Brighton were going to find a goal. If Mitoma gets that ball through and has got it close to him on that one-on-one situation with David De Gea, Mitoma's putting that in the net. Manchester United are knocked out the FA Cup. We're not going to extra time. We're not going to penalties, because that is how close Brighton came to finding a goal. And Brighton did have the best early chances. That shot Solly March had on David De Gea, that nearly goes in. The Mitoma chance, that nearly goes in. And we're looking at the penalties, and we're looking at all 13 penalties that were taken. David De Gea doesn't make one save from the 7 Brighton penalties he had to face. Now, I can't understand why. Erik Ten Hag is the manager of this football club, right? And you look at that coaching staff, and you're seeing Steve McLaren, the ex-England bottle job manager who couldn't get our nation to qualify for the Euro 2008. He's picking the penalty takers and he's writing them down. I mean, he's not even the manager of this club, and Steve McLaren is making big decisions in games that are very important for Man United to get a win from. And he's picking the penalty selectors, and it's like, you're not the manager. Erik Ten Hag is, but you're allowing yourself to write down the penalty takers, and you're getting people to listen to you. And I look at that from a bigger point of view, and it's like, why is Steve McLaren being allowed to make big decisions in a game which affects Man United's season? Because if Manchester United go out of this FA Cup today, it's one trophy in 6 years. And I mean, the Carabao Cup really is not enough. Now we're in that FA Cup final. We have now got a phase and we've got to try and win that game. We cannot afford to lose that FA Cup final. We are going to go head to toe with Man City. We're going to have to take the game, but we are going to have to play a lot better than what we did, because overall, did Man United play well in that game? No, it just looked really lethargic. It looks like we were lacking ideas what to do with the ball. But we did have decent chances to put Brighton away, and Man United simply didn't take them. I think if that Fernandes shot goes in, that Eriksen chance goes in, Man United are comfortably 2-0 up. And if Marcel gets that ball and he times it well and he puts the ball over Sanchez in the Brighton goal, we're basically 3-0 up. That game would have been done, but that's down to the lack of ideas I think this team's running out of. And I look at that team as a whole, and you look at the players we've got. We have got quality players, but it just looks like we are so tired. It looks like this team's fatigued. It just looks like that team has not responded well from losing to Sevilla. It really, really has. Going out of that Europa League, I think, has massively, massively dented that team's optimism for the rest of the season. But hopefully this FA Cup semi-final win is going to get the confidence back up, because the players have got a job to do here. We've got to clinch top 4. We need to win another trophy. And if we can do that, then maybe winning 2 trophies in one season, you can class that as Man United at least have won silverware this season, and at least we are winning under Erik ten Hag. But I feel like the manager deserves a lot of credit for, having to use that pile of crap that he's having to use in that team. I mean, if you're looking at the bench and you're looking at that starting 11, a makeshift defence of Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw, is that really the right outcome? Malacia doesn't even get a look in until he came on in extra time. Sabitzer is left on the bench. Sancho was left on the bench. And maybe that was the correct thing to do. I don't know why Sancho didn't start today, because as soon as he came on the second half, I think it was in the second half he came on, I think Sancho had a bit of an impact. I thought, you know what? That was probably the best cameo he had in the second half of the game for a long time. And I thought to myself, if Sancho ain't starting this game, why is Marcel getting ahead of Jadon Sancho? Because I think, in my opinion, Sancho is a lot better footballer than what Anthony Martial is ever going to be. I don't see Martial having a future at this club for much longer. And realised I think Sancho was causing Brighton a lot of problems, and he nearly got an assist for Sabitzer's header that he had on goal, and it was nearly looping in, but lucky it looped over the post of Brighton. So I think Man United are probably now realising that that team is starting to run out of energy. That time machine that Man United, I think, are still stuck in. I still think that team is stuck in the dinosaur ages. I still massively, massively think that Man United are still on the decline in masses of squad quality and squad depth, because at the moment, if you look to that team today, you would expect goals in it. And you look at the performance of several of those players. I mean, what's happened to Marcus Rashford? I can't understand why he's running out of form. I can't understand why in the last 2 games against Sevilla and Brighton today, he hasn't been managed to put the ball in the net. And for me, he's been our best player all season, up there with probably Fernandes, Martinez, Casemiro and Anthony. And all of a sudden, the goals have dried up. And it's like, I looked at Rashford's performance in the first half and then the second half and even in extra time. I looked at a lethargic Marcus Rashford that seems to be running out of energy to be able to put the ball in the net again. And I said this would happen with Marcus Rashford, that at the end of the day, is he prolific enough in front of goal? No. Can he put the ball in the net? No. Can he do a job in 90 minutes of Man United when the going gets tough? No, he can't. And also, that worries me, because is that the right type of player to put the trust in for the future? Is that really the player that we need to be able to put goals in the net for next season up front? No, it's not. And if you look at it from a bigger point of view, he just offered nothing. He was taking on too many players and was losing the ball, taking on too many players again and then losing possession. And then when he had a chance on goal, the shot he had that nearly put it in for the second half of extra time, he nearly puts it in, and he's very, very unlucky not to, because it was a great ball from Casemiro to find Rashford in the first place. But Rashford really should have been burying that one-on-one with Sanchez. And you think to yourself, do you know what? A player like Marcus Rashford's ability should have been able to have put that ball in the net quite comfortably. And it was a difficult chance. Let's not beat around the bush that, Man United have got lucky we've won on penalties, because I tell you what, in over 120 minutes, it just looked like Brighton turned into prime Man City, and I was like, the amount of chances Brighton are creating and the amount of great football that they're managing to outplay Man United, and it was like, bloody hell, this Brighton team's actually good. And I did underestimate it today. I didn't think Brighton would have been as up for this as what I thought they would have been, but at the end of the day, they can count their chickens at the end of the day because they didn't find that winning penalty to get the job over the line. And luckily for Victor Lindelof, I mean, I was worried when Victor Lindelof was on that 7th penalty. I was like, surely he can't miss this. Surely he needs to put the ball in it. And I was going crazy when they put the ball in. So I was like, that was massive relief for watching that nearly ball fest that game was becoming. Because if you can't find goals in that team, where are you expecting the goals to come from? And that's the bigger point of view from today. I think that we've got to hit the nail on the head that team has got no other opportunity with other players to find the ball in the net. And I think that's a worry for Ten Hag going forward, that he realises that, do you know what, the options he's got aren't good enough. The players he's got aren't up to the task. And the players he wanted aren't here at the football club. And if the players he would have wanted, we would have got, maybe Man United would have found goals in this game today to bury Brighton and put the game away. But at the end of it, I think, Man United fans and supporters can be happy that we've got the job done. And, those fans were electric at Wembley today. I mean, the fans are right behind this team. The fans are right behind the manager. And we did back the players. So we backed the manager, we backed the squad, and hope, luckily, that we all got the result we wanted. But, you've got to feel for those Brighton fans that, you were unlucky not to find a result to beat Man United today. I think if Brighton would have had better players and a goal scorer, I think Brighton would have put Man United away today, because Mctominay was causing Manchester United several problems up front. Undav in the second half has a huge opportunity to put the ball in the net. Welbeck as well. I mean, the Brighton chances just kept coming and coming and coming. And I was like, eventually, Brighton are going to find a breakthrough here. They're going to find a goal that they need to clinch their final spot against Man City. And, we're going to have to head into that final. We are going to have to head there, and it's going to be backs against the wall. This Man City game in the final of the FA Cup is not going to be easy. We know the game and the prospect we are going to face. Erling Haaland and co. We know the game, how they play. They know the goals they get, and they know the style that Pep Guardiola is building at Man City with Haaland up front. I mean, I do worry what the scoreline is going to be in that, because I can't see, I know we've reached a final, but logically, can you see Manchester United beating Man City based on form? No. I do personally think we are going to get absolutely ripped apart in that final. And it wouldn't surprise me if it's 4-5-0, because I think Man United know that the game's probably up now. They've probably reached a final. I think they realise at least we've got to another final. Let's try and win it. But have we got the players to outdo Man City? No, we haven't. We haven't got the quality that Pep Guardiola's got at Man City. And I think that's where it lacked today. You looked at the bench options: Jack Butland, Palestri, Brandon Williams, Weghorst, Fred, Sabitzer. There was not a lot of options on that bench that Man United could have brought on. And that is down to, poor recruitment. That's down to the board and the owners not actually backing this manager in January and giving him players that would have been a bigger prospect to sell the fucking football club. And what I liked about today, you saw protests, you saw the banners, and I think that's a clear sign to the Glazers. Sell the football club and fuck off home. Because we do not want you skinflints, you, what I would like to say, taking the piss out this club, running it dry. We want you to sell the football club and fuck off back to America and take your family with you. Because I'll tell you what, I'm sick to death of these owners running this club badly on a daily basis. This manager was not backed in January. And I'll tell you what, if Sabitzer wasn't in that team today and Weghorst, I don't think Man United would have won on penalties, because you would have had to have been relying on Malacia and Luke Shaw just to find a penalty. And I'll tell you what, I would have been worried about those two stepping up trying to take penalties, because, you don't have enough goal scorers in that team to take penalties. And we did have to rely on, the fringe players to get Manchester United over the line. We are lucky where we are today, thanks to the brilliance of Erik ten Hag. He has delivered what we all wanted. He's delivering great football. He's delivering attacking quality. But today, it just looked like that squad had no confidence. It looked like that squad was just... I think that squad was too afraid to try and make chances. I do feel like this squad was, it didn't show that a lot of quality was there to be able to get the job done. But, if you're having to rely on penalties, You're going to have to do it. We all have to go there. And, lucky United got where they did today. But at the end of the day, we are where we are. We are because of Ten Hag. We are where we are today because this manager is having to work fucking miracles just to get this club back to where it wants to be. We are lucky to get into that FA Cup final. There's nothing to shout or dance about today. Man United are lucky. They are very, very lucky that Brighton didn't put any of those chances away, which they should have. And I do agree with Danny Murphy's points on some that Danny Welbeck should have scored and Dow should have scored, Mctominay should have scored. If Brighton put them away, they absolutely obliterate Man United. And defensively, the amount of chances we were letting Brighton have on goal, it was just like we couldn't get out. We couldn't get our own half, and it was just like, we're just letting Brighton attack us. How do we get out? And we simply couldn't do it. But in the second half extra time, I do think Man United were better. I do feel like we did have the chances to be able to kind of put Brighton away. But what really annoyed me, Weghorst wins a free kick in the second half of extra time. Sabitzer is over the free kick. He puts the ball miles over our players in the Brighton penalty area. The ball goes out of play. And then I think it's on the 5th minute or the 9th minute that David De Gea plays a great through ball in the first half, and Eriksen and Rashford are one-on-one with Sanchez, the Brighton goalkeeper. The ball goes away from them, and it's like, you should have really timed that better, lads, to be able to have got the ball under control, because if Eriksen or Rashford would have found that ball early on, they would have put the ball in the net, and Man United would have been comfortably 1-0 up. And I think if Fernandes would have taken his chance, I mean, it was a good chance that he had on goal, but it was an easy save for Sanchez, and you did expect a player like the goalkeeper quality Brighton's got to save that chance. And, Brighton are going to go places under this manager. They're going to qualify for Europe based on that. They will be absolutely fine next season as well. Brighton are getting better and better. And it does prove that, Brighton invest well. They get a proper manager in, proper people at recruitment at Manchester, at Brighton. You get right people doing the right things to that club. And look how well Brighton are run. I mean, that is an example that we need. We need proper owners running Man United on a daily basis, just like Brighton do. That is what we need, because Brighton are bringing in players that are quality enough to be great additions to their team. And I think Mitoma and McAllister would have got into that Man United team very easily today, because they offer so much quality going forward. That is, I think, what we're lacking. We haven't got the quality in attack, and we don't have the quality in midfield, because you basically rely on Eriksen and Casemiro and Fernandes and Sabitzer to be able to get the job done for your midfield. Because, if you look at that squad today and you look at the injuries we've got out still, Garnacho ain't going to be back till the 1st of May from injury, which I can't understand why he's then back in training, but he isn't going to be available till May, which makes no logical sense. If he's fit and available to play, Garnacho really should be in that squad. And if I was Man United, I mean, Argentina want him to be in the under-20 World Cup squad. If I'm Manchester United, I would be saying fucking logically, no, you're not having Garnacho for the under-20 World Cup for Argentina. It's club over country all day. Garnacho needs to stay here. We need him for the rest of the season. And that's what we need. We need Garnacho available for the rest of the season. When he's back, we could not afford to keep losing any more players that we haven't got available. I think if Garnacho was available and fit today, Garnacho would have started in that game ahead of Anthony Marcel. And I tell you what, I think, who said the comments about Marcel on Sky Sports at the weekend? Do you know what? They're absolutely correct. And people do not like it that Marcel gets the criticism that he actually gets. Well, unfortunately, he deserved the criticism because Marcel is lazy, he's arrogant, and up front, he can't do a job. And that is so unfair on the rest of the team. And you can see the frustration of Marcel's game. He's got no speed. He's got no energy. He can't control the ball. Can't make a decent 5-yard pass. And it's like, this is the guy we've got to rely on our goals the rest of the season. I think we're a better team without Marcel in it. Marcel offered nothing of encouragement today. And up front, he was lethargic. He didn't really want to run for the ball. I think Marcel's a very lazy player. I don't think he offers anything going forward for this club. And if he can't put the ball in the net, then Ten Hag has got a big fucking problem in the summer. Because if they keep players like Marcel and Weghorst at Man United, be my guest, but I tell you what, not a lot of fans are going to be happy with those decisions being made in the summer if those two players are kept. Because if Marcel can't do a job up front for you and he can't put the ball in the net, there is a perfect example of a lazy player not willing to run back and track back in that game today for Manchester United, and he didn't do fuck all to help produce a result. Man United were having to rely on the other players around him just to create opportunities. And I mean, that says a lot that Marcel needs to be sold in the summer. We do need to move him on. He is not got the attitude. He looks fed up. He just hasn't got it in him, I think, to be able to do a job. And why he gets in that team today when he was crap on Thursday against Sevilla, I mean, why did Ten Hag pick him? It baffles me. But, it's not Ten Hag's fault. He's having to pick a team he's got available. He's having to pick what he thinks best for the outcome of the match. So he thinks probably Marcel could do a job. But in 120 minutes, Marcel he's not the player he used to be. I remember when we first got him and it was like, this could be a great signing Louis van Gaal's made as manager. Are we now looking back on that decision to sign him in the first place as one of a big mistake that this football club let themselves in for? Because I tell you what, good luck selling him. Good luck selling him, because not a lot of players or clubs are going to want him in their team. And a lot of clubs in the Prem won't buy him. And I don't think that selling him abroad is going to help, or you'll get buyers or suited that want Marcel's either, because I just think his attitude stinks. And I don't think it works very, very well. And then we also have to then, talk about David De Gea. Yet again today, his distribution from goal is just... I don't know what's happening with David De Gea, but he doesn't look like the goalkeeper we used to have. He looks like a goalkeeper that looks just, not bothered, not fussed. I don't think really personally he tried to save one of those Brighton penalties. He wasn't going to get anywhere near anything today. And I looked at it and I was like, Brighton have taken 6 penalties before the 7th was missed, and David De Gea does not make one save. And that says a lot about why Ten Hag is looking for a new goalkeeper. It says a lot. It really, really does says a lot about the distribution from De Gea is poor. I mean, some of the distribution in that first half and second half, especially in extra time, he can't even get the ball away, and he keeps passing it short to our back four. And then you've got Brighton players surrounding that Man United selection of players, and it's like, if David De Gea can't clear the ball, then why is he in goal in the first place? Why did they not risk, putting Jack Butland in goal today? I mean, that's been a bad signing enough, signing a goalkeeper on loan from Palace who's not played 3 years of football. And I can understand why we've not risked it in an FA Cup semi-final, because Ten Hag wants to win the game. He wants Man United to get into that final. But at the end of the day, if David De Gea's distribution is poor from goal, then he really should be in between the sticks. And like my parents said to me today, it says a lot about De Gea. If he can't save one penalty, that Man United need a new goalkeeper. I completely agree. We do need a new goalkeeper in the summer. And then you're also looking at, that back four. Danny Murphy's praise of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, his praise of Lindelof and Luke Shaw, and his praise of Delot. I thought Delot was a bloody nightmare today at left back. I mean, why we're deploying Delot at left back when he's a right back? Can someone please tell me how that makes sense? Why are we playing players out of positions that they're not comfortable with, they're not used to, and you're risking Manchester United fucking up in positions in that team that some of those players are not used to in a Man United shirt? That, for me, makes no logical sense why we are trying to shoot ourselves in the foot again by playing players out of position that they are not going to be comfortable with. If they're not comfortable with it, it shouldn't even be in consideration in the start 11. But I think Ten Hag's also realised that, he looked at that back four today. Thank God Harry Maguire went in that team. Look how better we are without him in that team that we are with him. Victor Lindelof, he doesn't trust clearly either, but he's having no choice but to use Victor Lindelof anyway, because Harry Maguire is suspended. And I mean, look how great we are without Harry Maguire than when we have him in that team. And I think he's realised that. He's looked at Luke Shaw and he's looked at Malacia and he's like, bloody hell, these are my two left backs for the next few years, and I've got to somehow use these players in my team. And it's like, I think, do you know what? I personally do think that Ten Hag doesn't want Malacia. And I think, do you know what? I would agree with that. I don't think Malacia's got a future here. I don't think in that when he came on, he made much of an impact at left back. I thought Malacia was lethargic, pretty lazy as well. Couldn't get the ball, kept losing possession, can't win a simple tackle off the Brighton player. And you look at that and it's like, this is the left back that we've brought in to be the backup to Luke Shaw. And Luke Shaw was no better either today. I think Danny Murphy's praise of that Lindelof and Luke Shaw, I mean, bloody hell. Did they see how many chances Brighton were getting through Luke Shaw and Victor Lindelof today? Did Danny Murphy actually look at that game and think to himself, oh, do you know what? Luke Shaw, Victor Lindelof is shit. I mean, I can't understand why pundits can't just speak the truth. Why can't they just be brutally honest about how crap some of those Manchester United players actually are? Because some of those players don't make us a better team. Some of those players don't add anything to this Man United squad. There's no quality in some of these players that we have. Why can't you just be honest like an honest Man United fan like me would be? And I'm honest. I'm going to give it as honest, as brutal as I want perfection. I want Man United to be able to have decent players in every single fucking position. And we don't have that. We don't. And it showed that today. Lindelof and Luke Shaw are having rings around them. They were getting run round rings by that Brighton team. They were so complacent at the back. And the hype Diego Dalot gets, and apparently some fans don't like it when Diego Dalot gets so much criticism. I mean, today sums it up for an example. He's shit. He's not any good. He's absolutely an awful right back. And it's the same with Wan-Bissaka. Oh, look at Wan-Bissaka making that good run on the edge of the Brighton penalty area. Yeah, he puts the ball into the box and it goes miles over our Brighton penalty area. The box is here around Wan-Bissaka. It's not over there and it ain't over there. The box is here. And he puts the ball over the penalty area when we've got our players in the box waiting to put that into the back of the net. We don't need Wan-Bissaka. We do not need Diego Dalot. They weren't solid at all. So I can't understand Danny Murphy's praise. I mean, some of these BBC sport pundits talk so much shit. It's like, what the hell are you being paid to say? Because I tell you what, you're clearly not looking at the game from a fan point of view. And Danny Murphy's not a fan. He's an ex-Liverpool reject. He's an ex-Fulham reject who had to retire because he wasn't any fucking good enough anymore. So at the end of the day, I think some pundits need to actually open their eyes when they're watching these games, because at the end of the day, you are not helping the praise and the ego praise of some of these players who don't deserve it. And that's the problem. You praise some of these players, their egos are only going to get bigger. And that was showing today in that commentary box, that the praise some of those Man United players are getting were, undeserved. And do you know what I don't agree with? This is one thing I don't agree with. Did you see him slamming Bruno Fernandes for not tracking back and not defending as a team? Apparently he was lazy in the second half. I've given Bruno Fernandes my man of the match today due to the pure fact he was probably our most standout player in that first half that was making opportunities. He nearly scores twice. And according to Danny Murphy, he's not doing his job in the second half. He's lazy. He's not tracking back. He's not defending. Bruno Fernandes was in every position in that team today, fucking putting his heart on the line to get us over the line today. And if he's got no quality, did you see the leadership skills and the captain quality and the praise he was giving those Man United players to actually up their game and up their tempo and encourage them to get this over the line? And apparently Danny Murphy said, oh, Bruno Fernandes is lazy and he's arrogant. I mean, what the hell is he on about? Bruno Fernandes is the captain in that team. He's the leader. He's the role model. He's the inspiration that this team hasn't got. And you're criticising him for being lazy. He was tracking back every opportunity Brighton were having on the Man United goal. And you're saying he's lazy and he's not doing his job. I mean, you're looking at Wan-Bissaka as a man of the match contender and you're saying Luke Shaw and Victor Lindelof have been fucking solid. What are they? Solid as a rock, are they? I mean, is that the big font? Solid as wood? It makes no sense where they're getting all this bias from. It's a load of bollocks. I'm baffled that Sky have got commentators like this, because Bruno Fernandes, that's why I've given him my man of the match, because he was probably Manchester United's most influential player. Any opportunity Man United were getting was coming through Bruno Fernandes. No one else was getting that opportunity. I didn't see any other players stepping up to the plate. I didn't see any other players getting opportunities on goal to put the ball in the net. Fernandes was orchestrating the orchestra and the attacking play in that team to actually fire that team up. And he did have to be substituted at the end of the day. We couldn't play Bruno Fernandes all 120 minutes because I think he was struggling in the end. And that is why we brought Sabitzer on, because Anthony then got taken off. And that's another point. Danny Murphy is slamming Anthony on that right wing. And Peter Schmeichel, who's an ex-Man United legend apparently, who then turned his back on Man United and went and played for Man City, right? Saying, I don't like Anthony. He doesn't offer a lot for me. What game are you watching that Anthony doesn't offer a lot? At least he's been our best right winger this club's probably ever had. And you're slamming his gameplay. It's like, can someone please tell Peter Schmeichel, the ex-Man United legend who turned his back on the fans, just like Ronaldo did when he left and went to Man City, right? He's saying that Anthony's offered nothing on that right wing today. At least he was actually cutting in and getting shots on goal and having opportunity inside the Brighton penalty area because no one else is doing it. So don't just fucking sit there and slam Anthony. Don't just sit there and obliterate Anthony that he ain't good enough. And time travelling Blasson says in the live chat, we're going to absolutely obliterate you in that final. Play like that and they shouldn't even bother pitching up. Sacrificial lambs coming to Wembley for slaughter. Fair enough. If that's what you think, fair enough. I respect your comment and I respect your view and I respect your opinion. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, by the way, you are more than welcome to come and join us. It's going to be a tough game. Man City are going to be the favourites. There's no doubt about that Man City are going to be heading to that game as favourites. But what is Man City's focus? The Premier League, the Champions League, or the FA Cup? That is a question I would slam back at you. What's their focus? Is it winning the treble? Because I don't think Man City will win the treble. I think your focus is on the Champions League and Premier League. You won't win the FA Cup. I think United are going to be, you want everything. Yeah. I mean, fair enough. I like your views and I like your opinions. I respect that a lot. I really, really respect that. And, come and join the channel if you want. And please subscribe if you're new. I welcome everyone on this channel, all rival fans. I mean, it's about fan connection. It's about fan, interaction. I like that you're sharing your views and opinions. And if you're a Man City fan, I completely respect that. I respect you support them. That is completely fair enough. But, come and join the channel and hit a like button on this video. And, we'll be doing a preview for that FA Cup final. I mean, I can't believe it's till June, by the way. I can't believe the FA Cup final's in June. Can't believe we've got to wait another 2 months for that, which is, ridiculous. So, yeah, going back on to Anthony, I just can't believe Danny Murphy's criticism of he wasn't shit today. He was probably up there with probably Fernandes for man of the match, but I think Fernandes edged it over a lot of that game because I think Anthony, what would Danny Murphy rather have? Would you rather have a Langer and Marcel in that Man United team every week? Because at the end of the day, if Danny Murphy doesn't like it that Liverpool have won no trophies and his Fulham club aren't going to get into Europe, I go and cry in the toilet, Danny Murphy, because I can't help that both your teams that you used to play for are not winning trophies this season and are not going to be in Europe. That's not my fucking fault that both your clubs have turned into bottle jobs this season. That's not my fault. That is not my issue. That I think Danny Murphy needs to open his eyes, really. I don't think it's fair on the fan base, to say that, Anthony was shit. I think if we're Anthony in that team, we are absolutely lost without him. I don't think we're better off without Anthony. And I think if Anthony's not in that team today, I think the amount of chemistry on that right wing's not there. That right wing has become our best position now with Anthony in that team. Danny Murphy can't sit there, Anthony's not creating anything. And Peter Schmeichel's like, he doesn't offer anything going forward. I mean, like I said, wake up and realise that you've got the... And Rabbi Baluch in the chat as well. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. And if you both subscribe, I will also give you both a resubscribe after on your channels. So please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. And I will give you both a subscribe back as a return because you've participated and leaving great comments on this live video this evening. So please subscribe, by the way, if you're new. I would really, really appreciate it. And he says, Danny Murphy is a salty scouser. Rabbi in the chat, he's a legend. Completely agree. Absolutely bang on there. He's just salty. He doesn't like it that Man United are actually winning trophies. He doesn't like it that Man United are on their way back under this manager. And if he doesn't like it, go and cry in the toilet. That's all I would say on that. Go and cry in the toilet and suck on your wounds. You salty person that you are as an ex-reject of football that had to retire. And I like footballs in the chat as well. One of our managing moderators on here. Hello, mate. We're just, reacting to the United game. So, yeah, I think Anthony's not the problem in that team. I think, personally, it's the rest of the players that, United didn't look like scoring all day long. They really, really, really didn't. Like, we didn't look like scoring, but lucky, we found a response to win on penalties. And you also, if you look from a bigger point of view, we've discussed the front line. Weghorst is trying to fire the Man United fans up. That didn't help. I don't really think that, Weghorst has been the answer that we're looking for. And I think, Erik ten Hag has realised that Weghorst wasn't the answer that we were looking for. And I think Weghorst has been a very, very poor signing. And it hasn't worked for Ten Hag, and it hasn't worked for him as a favour that bringing him on was the only option we had for Marcel, which yet again is down to poor board, down to poor recruitment, and down to poor players being brought in just to make up the numbers. And Weghorst is never going to be the answer we wanted, and it's being proved on paper again in this FA Cup semi-final that Man United have brought a player that's basically nowhere near good enough to be a Man United footballer. And it doesn't help logically that we are doing this to ourselves, and it doesn't help logically that Manchester United are having to rely on being reliant on a player that is simply nowhere near good enough. And Rabbi in the chat, please subscribe to the channel if you're new. And Time Travelling Blasons, please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way, as well. I think Man United are lucky. I think, we can count ourselves lucky that, we're there where we are today. Please subscribe. Please subscribe, by the way. Back to winning trophies. You've won a Mickey Mouse EFL, got battered by Sevilla, and nowhere near the Prem, and have to get through arguably the best team in world football to get your hands on the FA trophy, on the FA Cup. The referee was abysmal. It was the same on Thursday. Yeah, the referee was shit today. Absolutely shit. I think the referee had a very, very poor game. I do think he was favouring Brighton. I do think, the referees in football. And I think logically this season, every referee in every league this season has been massively, massively poor. If you both subscribe, by the way, I will subscribe to your channels because I want you all to become part of this, become part of this community, become part of this channel. If you both subscribe, I am going to subscribe right away to your channels. And if you do that for me, I would really, really appreciate it if you both would subscribe, because I want to be able to get all of you involved. I welcome rival fans on here. I welcome everybody on this community. No one's ever getting left out because I want everyone being involved. And that's what I like about fan interaction. And yeah, but carrying on with the Man United, obviously, debate today. United are lucky. United are lucky they did finally, get a result in the end to win that game. We are lucky, very, very lucky that we won that game, because we simply just, it looked like for the whole 120 minutes, especially in extra time as well, that United just didn't look like a team that could find a response. And I was worried where this is going to head. And could you both put your links in the community? Actually, don't worry. I can do this a different way. So yeah, I'm going to subscribe both to your channels right now, and I really appreciate it. So there you go, Rabbi. I've subscribed to your channel, by the way. And Time Travelling Blasons, I'm also subscribing to your channel as well right this minute. So, welcome both to the channel and the community, by the way. You're both legends. But yeah, the referee was abysmal, but Man United have got the job done. And, that is what... My name's Alex, but it's called United Red Devils 20 because I'm a Man United fan channel. But I've subscribed anyway because I return a favour, because you've subscribed to me. I only return a favour, so I'm being nice because I like to help everyone on their channels. I want to be able to get all of you involved. That is what it's like. And, Man City are going to be up for the FA Cup. Of course, they're going to want to win the treble. Everyone would want to win the treble. We basically had a quadruple on until we didn't win the league and we got embarrassed in the Europa League. And I still think logically, deep down today, we didn't find a response from the Europa League, dismantling by Sevilla. And I completely agree that Time Travelling is said in the live chat that United got battered by Sevilla, which we did. We deserved. We got our asses handed to us, though we got annihilated. We were shit, but that is down to not having squad depth available to be able to back up the current good players we've actually got. But in the end, we're in that FA Cup final, and I'm looking forward to it. It's the first Manchester derby we've had in an FA Cup final. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I think it is the first ever Manchester derby for an FA Cup final to feature both Manchester clubs. So, and if you take everything this season, You probably get Team of the Season at the Sports Personality Awards, and you probably get Coach of the Season well, because what Guardiola's doing, especially the impact of Erling Haaland, he's going to be the one to stop in that final. Let's not beat around the bush about it. Haaland is probably going to rip that United team apart. But, I'm looking forward to the game. At least we got ourselves in the final. It's another opportunity to win a trophy. Man City are going to be up for it. Manchester United are going to be up for it. But at the end of the day, that United are lucky where they are today. And if we have to discuss any more points, I think Fred again today. Fred in that midfield. I mean, what the hell is Fred doing in a Man United shirt? I'm starting to lose my patience over half this team being featured in a Man United shirt. I can't understand why we are still using players like Fred in that team to bring on as the midfield backup. It worries the shit out of me. Soon as Fred touches the ball or Fred comes on for Man United, it frightens me because he doesn't have what we have. He doesn't have the quality of the Sabitzer, of the Eriksen, or the Fernandes, or the Casemiro. And Mctominay's the same as well. I mean, thank God Mctominay isn't, in that team because we would have lost. But Fred, he offered nothing coming on in the second half as well. It was just basically try and offer something Man United aren't having. I think Fred was just atrocious. I don't think personally, those subs made an impact. The only one I'd say would have had an impact was Sancho, because if Sabitzer, it'll just be worse with him. Exactly. It'll just be worse with him in the team. I completely agree, because as soon as Fred came on for Brazil in the World Cup, he got himself completely and utterly bantered, and Brazil got knocked out, didn't they? So I completely agree with that comment. You're absolutely bang on to the point, and that's what I like, that you're honest with your views and opinions, and that is what I like. I like to interact with all of you people. Yeah, I completely agree with the Fred comment that he ain't there today in that team to do a job. He's there to basically make up the numbers. And we are lacking numbers. We are still, got Donny van de Beek out injured through an ACL injury. Varane and Martinez. Varane's out for 6 weeks. Martinez is out for the rest of the season. He's had to have surgery. Scott McTominay's still injured. Garnacho's still injured. Tom Heaton, was he still at the club, injured. And don't worry, we are going to be talking about Spurs tomorrow when we do the preview for the Spurs game for Thursday. We are going to give them plenty of banter, plenty of views, plenty of opinions on tomorrow's preview about Spurs, because I've got plenty to say about Spurs. And look out for that video tomorrow for the Spurs versus Manchester United preview for the game on Thursday night. Yet again, Thursday night football, but at least it's the Premier League and not the Europa League. Well, I would love to have been in that still, but hey-ho, otherwise, Tomorrow's, I don't think Matt, if he plays or doesn't, no, scoreline doesn't change. 4-5 minimum, 1-2 chats in against you lot, crumble season. Yeah, you're probably going to be right. Man United will probably crumble in the FA Cup final, but it's 90 minutes. It might go extra times. It might go penalties again. You never know. But today, it sums up Man United have got lucky. We have got lucky down to winning on penalties. It's nothing to shout out or dance about. I mean, I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. So if you want to go and check out both my other socials, go and give me a follow on both of them. But I like your views and opinions, because you're bang on to the point, and that's what I like, that I respect you. I don't personally know you, but by your views and opinions, it sounds like you know a lot about your football, and that's what I like. It shows that you've got knowledge of football and everything. So, yeah, United are lucky. We won on penalties, but I feel sorry for Brighton. I absolutely am gutted Brighton are out. I feel really, really sorry that Brighton are not in that final, because I think Brighton would have given Man City a game, but at least we won. At least we're in that FA Cup final in June now. Man City versus Manchester United, the first FA Cup final featuring both Manchester clubs. Man United have had to come through on penalties. We are lucky. Do we deserve it? I'll leave that to the comments. I'll leave that to the chat. I'll leave that to the overall outcome. But Man United are in the 2023 Emirates FA Cup final. Man City away in June in the final. Bring on Man City. Bring on that final. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button, share button. Please keep subscribing to United Red Devils 20 on YouTube for more content like this. We've got Hogwarts Legacy, Kingdom Hearts 4, more FIFA 23 Career Mode, Football Manager. We've got loads more stuff planned, more previews, more match reactions. And obviously then, like I said earlier in the video, please join me for the Tottenham versus Man United preview tomorrow afternoon. Monday afternoon, we're doing that preview for the Spurs game on Thursday night. We've got plenty to talk about on that video, plenty of views, plenty of opinions to show on Spurs and Manchester United at the moment. Join for that preview tomorrow afternoon. enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Thanks to everyone that's supporting and growing the channel. You're all legends. You're all legendary. Thanks to all my new subscribers in the chat as well that have subscribed today. Thanks for their great comments, their great views, and which are bang on to the point and great knowledge of football. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, be nice, and be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legends your own way. Manchester United are in the FA Cup final. Get in. Come on, you Reds.